I can hold this position until I die.
Okay, the thing is it gonna like, as you move around though, it's probably gonna shake the camera.
I can station my foot.
Oh my god, I'm just gonna get a bag of clay. This is ridiculous.
We have the list of questions here for you. I'm going to largely ignore these.
Okay.
Alright, well,
I had a bunch of like dumb questions.
No, that's okay. Some of the like quick questions that you had listed, I put them as a lightning round at the end.
Oh.
But we can also again go through some of them. I think John, what you and I had talked about is just kind of like we have the questions as like the overall structure, but you know, we don't want this to be like, and now tell us the answer to this question and have it be really stiff.
Yeah. We don't want to just interview you. We want to chill with you a bit, you know?
Right. Yeah, like have a conversation. Like anything you ask me, like you guys can talk about your thoughts about those things and all that stuff. So.
Yeah,
right.
Cool.
Do you want to do the intro to the podcast now and introduce them and all that? Like, do you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want me to do it?
No, I'll do it. I got it.
Please do it. Please do it. I just asked you as a courtesy. I don't want to do it.
Okay. No worries. I got you. All right. John, are you ready?
I'm ready. We are recording.
All right. So today on the Mud Peddlers, we have a really special guest. We have Jon Schmidt, aka Jon the Potter, joining us today. John, how are you doing?
Good. I'm doing really good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're pretty good.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Yeah, we're pretty good. This is my excuse to hang out with you, but I can use it for content as well.
Just being real blunt about that business side, Donte.
Just being real, like, I wanted to do this anyway for a long time, but this is my excuse.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
We have a list of questions, but like...
Yeah, we're gonna see how it goes.
All my questions are like, how's your dog? How's your wife?
So just in case some of our listeners don't know who you are, John, how would you describe like who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so that has changed a lot over the years. More recently, and how most people would probably find me is I am a potter and I make YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. I started out kind of just doing pottery as a hobby and for fun. And I took over a coffee shop when I was 21 years old where I did pottery there.
Right? 21?
It still amazes me.
And well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at all, so it made a lot of mistakes along the way. But as for a while, I just did the pottery as kind of a combination hobby thing with the coffee shops. And so we have 3 coffee shops where we sell all my pottery, and we obviously sell coffee and food and all the things that normal coffee shops do. But then a few years ago, I decided like I wanted to kind of get a little more serious about my ceramic artwork and my pottery, and the obvious place to go is online from when you've been selling like in-store for a long time. Mm-hmm. And that's when I came up with the YouTube channel. And Earth Nation Ceramics was a big inspiration to my YouTube channel. I saw him and said, hey, this guy's cool.
F that guy. Yeah. I watched that guy's YouTube channel. F that Earth guy.
No, he really was. I saw Earth Nation, and I saw, like, I thought I could put a little different spin on things and kind of add to it. Like, I never thought, like, I would be, you know, in place of Donte's channel, but I thought it certainly was a compliment. And I went from there and just started making videos and got really into that. Like, that was, like, the biggest thing for me is I got super into, like, videography and photography and, like, thinking about how to make quality videos and creative content. And so, yeah. That's kind of me in a nutshell, I suppose.
Your videography is so out of this world. Because when I do my stuff, I set the I made so many mistakes, as you named as well. Because when I first started, I watched my old videos, and I'm like, oh, they're cringy. Oh, they're cringy.
I know.
But now, then I watch your videos, and I'm like, he's got a drone. There's one scene that sticks in my head where you put the camera down, and you, like, biked away because you were taking us on, like, an adventure with you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, as a YouTuber, I know he's got to go back and pick that camera up. I know he does. But the shot looks so good. It looks like we're going somewhere. You know, Lord of the Rings, like, we're going on an adventure.
Yeah. We're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Exactly, yeah. And I was like, oh, he knows the angles.
I know, and that's been really fun about YouTube.
Was it difficult? Sorry.
The creativity. Just the creativity that like you can express throughout the video is like insane. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just curious, like when you started your YouTube channel, my understanding is that you didn't have a lot of experience with working with cinematography, videography. What was that learning curve like? Like how long did it take for you to begin feeling more comfortable with working with the videography side of your YouTube channel? Did
you learn, or were you just like learning as you go?
Yeah, I was just learning as I went. Like I watched a lot of other YouTubers. I watched a lot of YouTube videos about how to film yourself, how to be a YouTuber, all that kind of stuff. But really, like, just learning through doing was, I mean, how I kind of have approached everything. Like, the first 80 videos that I did were pretty bad, and I was pretty bad on camera, and
Same,
like,
bro.
things just weren't, and you know that, yeah. And so it just takes, like, that, like, you got to just do it over and over and over. It's just like when you're starting out making pottery. Like, you got to make a lot of pots before you get good. And so same thing with YouTube. Like, you got to make a lot of videos. You gotta just like fail a lot of times and make bad stuff and put it out in the world and then get feedback and try again and do new stuff. And I still don't think, like, I think I'll look back in 5 years at the videos I'm making right now and be like, oh, those weren't even that good. Of course. And so and that's kind of what I want. Same with my pottery. Like, I want to look back at the pottery I'm making now in 5 years and be like, that was terrible. The stuff I'm making now is good. So
yeah, and it just gets higher and higher quality as you go on. And I've looked at my own videos and been like, oh, F that guy. Oh, my God.
I know.
Such cringe. But now I'm like, it's not that bad. Somebody put the camera where it's supposed to be. At the right time of day, where there's sunlight. Nice. You know, like, I did good this time.
I think there's something...
I don't think I'd even want to watch
go ahead.
First videos. I just don't even think I'd want to watch my first videos. It would be too cringy.
I delete a lot of mine. I'm not going to lie to you. I delete it.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me of, okay, so the thing, as I've been researching the hell out of you, Jon, because I admit, I have not kept up with all of your YouTube videos, but like, I bought your book, I listened to a bunch of interviews on other podcasts where you've like had conversations, and the more that I've like learned about you, I think that one of the things that stands out the most is that like, you seem to approach what you do with a bravery and just like, I'm gonna just do this at like a level that is just outstanding to me. And, you know, for me, like, one of the reasons that, like, I think probably one of the biggest challenges that I face as an artist is this intimidation of like, okay, if I'm gonna make something, I have to make it perfect. You know, so it's like if I, you know, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, I need to like have all the skills to execute it well at first. So I'm curious, like, that courage that you have, that like bravery of just like, I'm just gonna go like do this thing, where does that come from? Because, you know, like, part of me wonders like, okay, like, especially in terms of financial aspects, like, you know, did you, as you were first starting out, as you bought a coffee or took over a coffee shop at 21, like, you know, did you have kind of family support that was like, you know, don't worry, you know, you got this? Was it your business degree that gave you that level of confidence? Yeah, where does that come from?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question.
He's so
and one that I don't...
Like, all his videos, he's like, we're doing it. Never sad.
And I wouldn't say that I like know the like specific answer to that question. With everything else, I think it's a lot of different things. Like, I think number one, experience is a huge factor. Like, you know, I didn't have experience like running a coffee shop, but I did have a little bit of business education, so that helped. From the financial aspect, I got really lucky with the coffee shop. The previous owners of the coffee shop, they were looking to sell, and they were kind of free spirits. Like, he was a potter and she's an artist, and they kind of took a chance on me. Like, basically all the financing came from the previous owners, and so that was really lucky. I didn't have to, obviously when you like graduate college, you don't have any money, right? I didn't have anything. And I think I went to like 7 different banks to ask for a loan, and they all said no. And then one guy who has been a good partner of mine in business, like, said, oh, okay, we'll give you a little loan, but the seller has to provide most of the financing. So the seller, Pam and Mark is their name. he's a great potter. Like, we collaborate on stuff a lot, and but they took a chance on me, and they said, we'll you know, finance the sale of the business. So that was really lucky. As far as the confidence goes, I think I've always just been a person that, like, I get obsessed with stuff, and I just, like, can't stop thinking about it, and then I just, like, have no choice but to go after it, you know? Like, it's not... Once I'm obsessed with something, like, that started with pottery, right? When I took that first class, I was just obsessed with it. I had to keep doing it. Like, I had no choice. I had to buy a kiln. I had to buy a wheel. Like, that's just the way it is. And then happened again with Mocha Monkey, and then it happened again with the YouTube channel. Like, I just get obsessed with it, and I just can't stop. I just have to go, and, like, until something happens, you know? And once you make videos, you put them out, and if it fails and it's not that good, like, on to the next one, you know? Just because it's, like, my brain just works that way, where I just get obsessed with stuff. So yeah, there's I have a great. I mean, my mom and dad, like, you know, they certainly were full support, like, not financially, but they supported me, like, buying a coffee shop, like, going after pottery, even after, like, going into a business degree. So I have a great support system around me. So yeah, the people around me, the experience that I've had, and, like, just my obsessive personality. Those are 3 things that would really lead me to having some sort of confidence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Your parents were never like, okay, I guess if you want to do, I mean, could be a doctor. My mom was like, could be a doctor, but whatever.
Right.
Gave birth to a potter, like a nerd. Your parents were, like, fully support. They were nice of it. You know?
Yeah, they were. Which, yeah,
hear that,
kudos
Mom?
to them, you know?
John's parents were nice to him. I'm kidding. My mom's very supportive. Now.
Yeah.
now she's very supportive. Can I ask John my stupid questions?
Go for it.
Yes. Okay. No, I asked him a couple earlier. I asked him, well, I guess it's worth reiterating. So, whenever I see your drone shots of your house and your YouTube videos that I watch from time to time, I get the feeling that you live in, like, your house is a bastion among a sea of land. And, like, that's you, it's you. But you were saying that there are other things around you, right?
Yeah.
But you don't get DoorDash.
So we don't get DoorDash. As far as I know, it's possible that we do, and I just don't know. But we get Amazon, and there's a Target that's, like, 3 miles away.
Oh,
so
that's not
it's
bad.
not like we're in the total middle of nowhere. You know, Waconia is a town of, like, 14,000 people. So it's small, but it's not, like, nothing. And but we live on a golf course, and then we live on a bunch of farmland. There's like 100 acres of farmland that's right around us, and we just have like 1 little acre. And so it's kind of the perfect spot for us, because both my wife and I, like, we love being, like, not in a neighborhood or not, like, having a bunch of neighbors, and we can just kind of do whatever we want, like leave sleds out in the yard all the time. And so yeah, it's good. It's good for our dog Bear, which I know Donte loves my dog. So
I'm a dog simp.
You simp for Jon the Potter's dog.
Yeah, and his dog looks really, like, you ever see a really well taken care of dog? Like, somebody brushes that dog.
Yeah.
Or like a horse, you know, and you're like, somebody brushes that dog, that horse's coat. You're like, that's a nice horse.
Yeah.
He has a nice... When'd you get your dog? My other stupid question. At birth?
That is actually a really funny story. So when we opened our 3rd location of Mocha Monkey, the staff of that store actually surprised us by giving us Bear as a puppy, which to anybody that... yeah, that's kind of a bold...
Dude, John's so lucky.
But also, oh my gosh, but taking over a coffee shop and also getting a puppy at the same time, that must have been quite the endeavor.
No. What happened is he bought a coffee shop, and then he got a pottery studio underneath it, and then, like, and then he bought another coffee shop, and he got a free dog.
Well, he was a rescue dog, so they gave him to us, and it was kind of, I mean, right away it was like, you guys are giving us a puppy? Like, that's kind of a bold gift to give somebody.
Yeah.
And
the
but it came with the caveat of, like, you know what, if you guys don't want him, like, we'll take him. And the deal was that if Bear slept in our room the first night and didn't, like, bother us, then we were going to keep him, and he did. He slept on his little bed the whole night, so we were like, all right, we're keeping him. He's great. And he's been really good. He's like 6 years old now, and he's a good dog.
Oh my god.
He does look like a good dog. Whenever you send me pictures of him, he's like chilling on the couch bothering nobody, and I'm like, that's a good dog. The cats at my house, not my cats, They bug the crap out of me.
Yeah.
That wasn't a joke. That was just there.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me of Donte. I know one of the questions that you were curious about was speaking of other beings being in the studio. So you have 2 sons, yes.
Right.
Yep.
So are they often in the studio with you? And just, I don't know, kind of broadening it out a little bit as well, like, how do you navigate being a parent and a business owner, as both a business owner of a cafe shop and all that? Like, how do you...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that our followers asked us the most was like the time management aspect of your business.
Was like, do you consider sun time pottery time on top of sun time, or do you have like some time separate versus pottery time versus, you know, like, do you separate them, or are they just like coagulated?
Yeah.
That was a bad word.
So I definitely have coagulated. What a word. So we definitely have time that like I'm working in the studio and time that's not, you know, family time or working at the cafes. Yeah, so my little sons are 3 years old and 1 year old, and the 3-year-old is quite, he can be in the studio with me and he can hang out for a while and like, he's great. My 1-year-old is a little bit of a destructive being, and so for him to be in the pottery studio is kind of dangerous for everybody, including mostly my pots.
I saw in your story you gave him 2 pots, and you're like, well, that lasted long, and they were just in your hands broken.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that him?
Yeah. He like literally chucked him on the ground. Like I gave him these pots. My wife was, she was like, can you make him cups? Like my oldest son, Ryder, we've given him pottery since he was like 6 months old, and he always would drink from it and really careful, doesn't break it. Rory, our 1-year-old, breaks everything. And like literally I gave him these cups that I made for him, and he just like smashed them on the ground. It was bad.
Oh my gosh.
I'd stop giving my kid pots for sure.
Yeah. No, that was the last of that.
Yeah, you can't have any more nice things, son.
Yeah.
But as far as the time management goes, you know, like the coffee shops, I have a pretty big staff. We have 50 to 60 people on staff. My best friend from high school is my manager, my general manager, and so he takes care of pretty much everything. We have a manager for each location. And then, so that over the past 2-3 years has really been a nice thing for me to be able to focus on pottery, making YouTube videos, growing that kind of, and the family as well. So that's, and basically I'm kind of always working, like I'm kind of always trying to fit in as much ceramics and pottery as I can. And then I always try and stop working 5-6 o'clock to hang out with the kids and like start putting them to bed. And then the weekends I try and work a little less, even though I end up working on weekends a lot. It's worked so far, but it's kind of, things change obviously. Like 5 years ago, my time management was way different. Like I was spending a lot more time at the coffee shops. Yeah. And so it kind of changes, and I assume it'll keep continuing to change as our family grows up and things happen, and
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, I see like a lot of your weekend posts are like, you, I don't know what it is, so please excuse the terminology. I don't know if it's wakeboarding or surfboarding or...
Yeah.
I've never done it, so I have no idea what it is, but I see like more so on the weekends those posts, and I've seen you golf a few times, and I'm like, oh, he's with his kids. That's nice.
Aww.
Yeah. Is your wife supportive of your obsessiveness towards a single thing at a time? Because I know I also have that trait about me, but I get obsessed with things. Mine is less supportive.
Yeah.
She's like, you get obsessed with things for like 4 months at a time, and it's super weird. And I'm like, oh, I get really good at something for 4 months. And then I stop getting good at it.
Yeah, so my wife's amazing. She went to school. We met at Gustavus, where we both went to college, and she was a art education major, which is basically a double major in art and education. So she was a elementary art teacher for many years, and she just stopped. This was her first year that she didn't go back to teaching, and so she could help and be kind of a stay-at-home mom, but also help me in the studio. And so far, I mean, she sometimes it gets a little weird sometimes with my obsessive things if they're not like...
You can be honest, John, we'll cut it out, don't worry. You're
if they're
safe
gonna take
here.
me away from the family, then they do. She's not a huge fan of it, But, you know, pottery, Mocha Monkey, like, she's super supportive overall. YouTube, like, right away, YouTube was a little like, really? You're going to film yourself and post it online and share it with the whole world? But I think she's come around on that and sees that it's been overall a really good thing.
Yeah, they're not as supportive until they see the after effect. And they're like, oh, you good at it. Well, I can't be mad now.
Yeah, right,
Like,
right. Oh, this has actually been really fun and cool, and we get to watch you, and you, so it's been good.
Yeah, that actually, like, I feel like I have that other person in myself internally, because I feel like whenever I'm about to make a business decision or like expand into something, like when I first, I mean, this is a small example, but when I first started trying to learn how to do like Instagram stories, I was like, is this going to be worth my time? Yeah. Is this really the best way to, like, you know, expand my business? And, like, I feel like that other self is, like, way more judgmental. It's like, I feel like I can't make a business development until I have some mental assurance that it's going to, like, work out well. Yeah. So, like, how do you go through that process of, like, because there's a million different ways that as artists we can build our business. Yeah. So, like, how do you decide what you're going to add to your plate to, like, diversify your income? Because I remember that's something that, like, in your various other interviews and, like, in your book, you talk about how, you know, if someone is considering pursuing their dream of, like, being a ceramic artist as a full-time career, you talk about encouraging them to think of themselves as an entrepreneur first and a potter, like, kind of not necessarily second, but like an entrepreneur is how do you make those decisions to expand your business, and how do you navigate that? Yeah,
so that you asked a great question, and this is something that I think about a lot, and we could probably spend like an entire podcast episode, like an hour long, just talking about this topic.
If you want to do a second episode, John.
I'll just join the Mud Peddlers. We'll just make it a whole team thing.
Oh my gosh, the fangirl in me would love that. But I also know that you have, you got your own stuff to do, John.
No, he's gonna go to his wife and be like, I joined a podcast, and she's gonna be like, come on.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Carry on, John. What were you going to say?
So I guess if we break this down into, like, thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur before a potter, I've always thought that was important to me because I saw more people out there that were making really, really good ceramic art and pottery and weren't able to sell it like they wanted to, less than the other way around, where people were able to, like, sell their stuff and they were, you know, not making good stuff or whatever. So I felt like artists need a little bit of that entrepreneurship in them if they're going to make this a sustainable thing. Like, if they're going to keep being motivated to create and keep making new stuff, you have to sell your stuff too, or you have to at least get rid of it. You know, like, for the people out there that just want to make their stuff and give it away, like, that's great too. But if you want to, like, continue creating for a long time and make it sustainable, it has to be a business, and that's why you have to think of yourself as a business person first. And I just don't think that people, back to your point, Lindsey, of, like, you know, how do I just decide what to do? I think you decide what to do by starting, and then you make decisions based on how that went. So you kind of start posting, you start doing stuff, and then you see how that goes, and then you might go a little further in the direction that either is really, like motivating to you, or people really, like, you respond to certain things. You asked a lot of questions.
So if I'm understanding you, it's a little bit more of, like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna kind of mirror. So if I'm understanding you correctly, it's less about necessarily thinking, okay, I'm gonna pick this thing and I'm gonna stick with it for a long time. It's more like trying like a sampler dish and then deciding what to order next based on what you enjoyed from the sampler dish, to always bring this back to food because I love food. Anyway,
we do have a food problem here on the podcast.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I do think most people spend too much time, like, trying to ideate and, like, think about how they're going to execute something and wait for a vision to be fully clear, when the real way that you develop that execution is by jumping in and starting and figuring something out along the way. And that's been and obviously everybody has different personalities. I'm definitely a personality that is not as much a perfectionist as probably you are, Lindsey. And
to my detriment, though, I admit, like,
the world needs everybody, you know, like, you know, we wouldn't have rocket ships going off to space if we didn't have perfectionists. So we need everybody. But in entrepreneurship, it's hard to make things perfect before you start, because then you just leave a lot of time like where you haven't started.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of do that myself as well. Like, if I had to teach a class, I wouldn't be very good at, like, explaining why the thing happens, but I'd be like, I could show you how to do the thing, like, 12 different ways. I really don't know exactly, like, I can't tell you what molecule makes this and this and this. My wife, or my wife and girlfriend wife, definitely could. She's more technical than I am. I'm more like you in that sense, where, like, I try it. If it didn't work, I try something else. I find out what works. And then, that's how I make my glazes as well.
Yeah.
I make, like, a bunch of glazes with the same base, and then I pick one color I like, and then I try and modify that until I have a glaze.
Yeah. I feel...
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I think you kind of asked that question in there as well, like, how do I pick and choose, like, which ones to diversify my income into? And this is another thing that I've talked about a lot. I've done a couple workshops, and I kind of, it's changed a lot over the years. Like, right away, when you're first starting out, you have to say yes to a lot of things, right? Like, if you don't have that many opportunities coming, then the ones that do come, you got to say yes. And then you can, as the more opportunities come your way, then you can start to think about these different questions that you, like, is this actually what I want to be doing? Like, is this going to lead to future things? Like, I have kind of a checklist in my brain that I always go through when people bring stuff up.
What is that checklist? If
Don't
you'd be willing to
tell
share
Lindsey
some of
lists.
it,
Don't.
I want to know.
Lindsey has a problem with lists.
Excuse me, I have a helpful obsession with lists because...
Lindsey has a helpful obsession with lists.
So, okay, so I have the list. I actually have it right here.
Oh, God.
I'm so excited.
Oh, he has a real list. We have one, too.
So
but Lindsey made them.
So my decision checklist, like how I'm deciding like if something is worthwhile of doing. And like I said in the beginning, this is not how it was. Like I used to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
But now I look at a decision and I say, is it fun and exciting to me? Like, is that something that I can get passionate around?
That's a good question.
Do I love it? And will I continue to love it? Like, does it have some sort of sustainability? Am I good at it? Is that something that I'm good at? Because there's certainly tons of things in business and ceramic artwork that I'm not good at. Does the world need it or want it? Like, is it going to be impactful? Are there things that I can learn to make this idea even better? Like, is this something that can be built upon? And then will it make money or could it be monetized in the future? That's kind of like the checklist that I go through in my head. So like, for example, when I think about writing this book, like the publisher reaches out to me and is like, you know, we think that you could write a really good pottery book. So then I go through all these things. It's like, is it fun and exciting? It's like, yes, I kind of want to publish a book. Like, that's kind of a bucket list thing. Am I good at it? Not really, but maybe I could be good at it. You know, sometimes it's like a not yet, but maybe I could be. And then with the YouTube channel, it was like, yes, 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 boom. That was like a home run. That,
yeah,
you know, I knew right away that could really be something special.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, we got to talk about your book a bit, because like, I don't have one.
I bought it.
You bought, but has it come in yet?
Yeah,
I know the time you bought
I poured over it. It's literally in my backpack, which you can probably see in the camera behind me.
Go grab it.
Okay, I'm gonna grab it.
Go grab it.
All right.
Now we're alone, John.
Okay, so
It's clean and
My
pretty,
camera
which
right
is
now?
rare for us people.
Well, it hasn't. I've kept it at home and I've studied it like at home, so it hasn't yet been speckled with clay, which I'm sure it will be at some point. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed reading your book, and like particularly again, like I've never read a pottery book or any sort of ceramic art book that has a section about like business development and how you ship your work, and like I so appreciated that, because I think that was one of the biggest frustrations when I was in school. Like I got my degree in art from UC Santa Cruz, and then I graduated with zero idea of how to turn it into a business. And I was very lucky that my mom is an entrepreneur in the field of music, so she was able to kind of help me with a lot of stuff. But
I got
John,
it. Hold on.
I don't know if you can see, but
Hold on. I'm who's the person from Wheel of Fortune?
Oh,
So it was like an attractive person. I'm one of those.
Yes. Anyway, and when I listened to your interview on the Potter's Cast, you like this kind of what you had said in your answer of like how, you know, like, are you good at something, etc., etc. I remember you talking about how having, like, knowing that you had a team of people, like editors helping you go through some of that stuff, and people helping with like, okay, we're gonna hit this chapter deadline like on this day. I don't know, I appreciated you talking about that, because it's sort of that reminder that we don't necessarily have to have all the skills to execute something, but we can say, okay, I may not have this, but you know, either A, how can I develop it, or like what support can I get to help execute this thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love that.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear that you love it. It certainly was geared towards people that, you know, like you have a lot of skills that you probably aren't, like, you know, there's skills that you have that I probably don't have in ceramic artwork. And so me writing a book that you would enjoy is really like, I wanted to provide those extra things like business skills and entrepreneurship skills, and just like even writing my story in the beginning is kind of like hearing somebody else's story can always be inspiring to others.
Yes,
it's like
absolutely.
everyone has their own path. And so I felt like I wanted to write the technical parts of pottery and ceramics for the beginners, because that's what I felt qualified to write about. But then I feel a little more qualified to talk about the business aspect and the entrepreneurship aspect, and how important that is too. I just truly, it comes back to that I just think it's really important that people think about it as a business and not, I mean, you have to have the artwork. The artwork has to be good. That's just, it's kind of like YouTube, where like if your videos aren't good, like you're not going to get views. Like even if you have the best thumbnails and titles, you have to have good content. And it's just like ceramic artwork. Like you have to have good pots, or people aren't going to buy them. Like they have to be good.
Yeah. What do you feel like? Sorry, Donte. I know I will definitely let you ask. I'm just like,
I have a question, but like it's good.
Okay.
Good.
So I'm curious, for people who aren't used to thinking like an entrepreneur, like I know a lot of the questions that people asked us in preparation for this interview, you know, where we asked our followers to say like, hey, what do you want us to ask Jon the Potter? There were a few people who asked like, how do you build a business in ceramics? And so I think just that question kind of shows that there's a lot of folks who just don't have any experience in thinking like an entrepreneur. So like, what advice would you give to people who, you know, who love ceramics or love their art form, whatever it is? Like, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? And like, what advice would you give to people who don't have experience thinking that way to begin learning to develop that pattern of thought as they're growing their art form as well?
Yep. So I think that being an entrepreneur is basically, how are you going to sell what you make? In our profession, we make things and we want to sell it. And like there are so many different ways to sell things that like it's almost an art to create your business. And so thinking about like not just how you like want to sell, but what makes the most sense for your personality and also for your work. Like if you hate making 100 of the same mugs, then you probably shouldn't go to a store and say like, hey, like I can make a wholesale order for you of 100 mugs, because, you know, worst case scenario, you know, they say, yes, we'd like 100 every month. And then all of a sudden you've got yourself into a situation where you have to make 100 of the same mugs every month. So they're like, but maybe
you're a promised potter, like you have a job now.
Right. But maybe there are people that love that. Maybe there are people that love sitting and making the same thing over and over and over. So I think that's one big aspect, is thinking about what you want to be doing, how your skills work with like your personality to how are you going to sell. Like for me personally, I love trying new things, testing out different glazes. Like, so the restock method of like, I'm going to put up 150 new pots every month, and they might be totally different next month than they are this month. That gives me the freedom and the flexibility to say, like, you know, I can make whatever I want, and if you want to buy it, you can buy it. If you don't, then you don't have to. But I also really believe in diversifying those income streams, because as you've seen, like with COVID, like nobody saw COVID coming, and that changed the retail market like overnight. And so and in this case, it went from retail not so good anymore to online being like really, really good. But things could go the other way too. And so I didn't want to eliminate, like, you don't want to just get rid of all your retail outlets, because, you know, what if YouTube changes or Etsy changes or certain things happen on the internet that maybe that's not as big, and then you're wishing that you had wholesale clients and retail clients as well, or farmers markets to go to, or art markets. So I think that's a really important part of the entrepreneurship too, is making sure that you are diversifying, that maybe you don't spend a ton of time doing the retail and you spend most time doing online. But if it ever came that you wanted to go more in retail, you could like ramp up that like part of the business too. Does that make sense? I'm kind of just like...
Yeah.
No, that makes total sense, just because I think we were talking about this a couple episodes ago. Like, you and I used to go to tables and whatnot and sell our stuff in person. And then the year before COVID, I started making my website. And then once, like, COVID hit, I was like, well, good thing I'm online now.
Yeah, right.
Because I got to get rid of a lot of this stuff and sell it off. But it's now become a market of how much people see you online. Like, there's no real place you can go to safely without putting yourself in a bit more of danger and sell your stuff.
Right.
So it's almost now the move to be online. Every now and then I post like, oh yeah, here's my stuff online, and there's always at least one or two people who are like, what happened to just being there in person? I'm like, COVID happened, bro.
Yeah.
COVID happened. Like,
Yep.
And now I think those same people are wishing they had an online presence to some extent. So you're right, it really has changed overnight.
Yep.
I never thought of the wholesale thing though. There has to be
Yeah.
potters out there who are just like kept potters, you know?
Yeah. That's gotta be really challenging.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I have a tiny question / statement.
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Right. So a lot of people on my Instagram wanted me to ask you why you choose, or what is the benefit, or like rather what's up with you throwing standing? Because most of us throw sit down, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you've gotten that question
Yeah,
before.
I have, and you know what? That's been on my list of videos to make for like 2 years. I've like thought about making a video about why I stand, because people ask me all the time, and I just haven't for some reason. So I definitely should. It came, like I've had like some back issues here and there, like where my back hurts. And another potter friend of mine was like, one time he just was like, yeah, like I went to North Carolina, Seagrove, North Carolina, and like a ton of the potters throw standing up, like. And now I try it and I love it. And so I was like, let's try it. So my old wheel, I built this thing where whatever I like put it up on, and I just like loved it. I think the reason I love it is because A, it's better for my back, or I feel like it is. I don't know 100% if it actually is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
For sure.
But B, I love how mobile you are. Like, instead of having to like stand up, sit down every time you need to like get clay or move a pot or whatever, like literally, you know, I'm at my wheel right now actually. So like literally I'm throwing and I can just like put it over here and then I come back, and it takes like no time at all. And so it just to me, and it's
That's
and now
speed right there.
yeah, the efficiency thing is big. So yeah, that's mostly why. For the back and for the mobility.
My neck. My back.
Oh my gosh, Donte, no.
My pottery attack. What did you think I was, Lindsey?
Oh my goodness. You got me hyperventilating over here.
Why would you? This is a family-friendly show. Lindsey.
Oh my gosh.
My other, well, not so much my question, but somebody on my Instagram for you had asked why you've decided, and I know you went over it in your video, but I think they just caught a glimpse of it, why you decided to do like one video a week on a Sunday.
Yeah.
They wanted to like why you chose Sunday
That's interesting.
for the day.
So forever, like the initial year that I kind of built my YouTube channel, like I went from, the year 1 I went from 0 to 10,000 subscribers, and then year 2 I went from 10,000 to 100,000 subscribers. That was kind of like, and now it's been 3 years and we're at like 160 something. And so to get back to your question, the first 2 years, basically, I tried to do 2 a week, and I went Monday and Wednesday. And there was really no reason behind that besides just, it wasn't Thursday because I didn't want to get on Donte's, I didn't want to post on the same day Donte did. And Monday and Wednesday just worked.
We should have.
Oh.
We should have, because it would have been double pottery Thursday.
But I just, Monday and Wednesday worked well for my schedule for whatever reason, so I just did that. So then, like last year, I didn't make as many videos. I think my expectations of myself and my videos have gotten a little higher, and so it's tough to crank out 2 when you're like trying to make them better. So what I did with the Sundays is one time I had a video that I didn't think was going to do that well. I like made it, and it was like, it's fine. Like my people that watch me all the time will like it, but it won't like get a ton of views. And I just posted it on a Sunday. And it like went way better than a normal video, like that I didn't think was going to do that well. And I was like, that's weird. Maybe like Sundays are the day I should be posting. So then I did another one on Sundays, and it did pretty good. And now I just decided to do Sundays for a while. So we'll see how long it lasts. But it's nice to like have those things that keep you accountable, you know? Like if I didn't have like, you know, once a week, I got to do once a week. Or in the beginning, if I didn't have twice a week, like, you know, who knows if it would be 2 months and I wouldn't make a video. Like having those things in your life that keep you accountable, I think are really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more difficult for potters like us because the majority of YouTubers will just like get in front of a camera and talk, and that is their content.
Right.
But we have to like perform a skill and prove that we can do it every single time efficiently. And on top of that, if you just want to see a pot thrown, that's a different video from throwing, like seeing a pot glazed, from seeing a pot finished. Or if you want to do a whole process, that's like a week.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Of like dry time, kiln time, stuff like that. So it's not like, we're not like Markiplier who like opens the camera 20 minutes. All right, that's content, we're done.
Right.
You can't just pump it out like that.
Right.
We have to obey the clay to a certain extent.
And your hands are full of clay, and you're trying to move the camera around, and then your camera's all full of clay, and it's like, oh man, I should really clean my camera. I think that like
I was
every day.
so happy when I saw his camera has a bunch of clay on it. Because I was like, oh, that's normal. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What was like? You're talking about like how quickly your YouTube expanded. Made me wonder like what was important to you about meeting that 100,000 follower mark? Because I remember, again, not to always be bringing in outside things, but I remember in your interview with on the Potter's Cast again, you talked about how YouTube doesn't so much like your income doesn't come directly so much from YouTube, but it's a platform from which you sell your work and you promote like your Patreon. So knowing that YouTube does take as much time as it does, how do you navigate the time that it takes to like produce your YouTube videos, to do all the like administrative aspects behind your business, and also still make enough pots to like meet demand, because you do have a very, very high demand.
Yep.
So
I guess there's two
sell
questions.
out every time.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm just like, yes, Jon, go. So
he's like a representative for Potter. You know what I mean?
Yes. Ambassador Jon.
So I think it really comes down to priorities and like thinking about what are your priorities and where you're going to spend your time. Because whenever you say yes to something, then, even though you're not really saying no to something else, you are saying no to something else because you're using that time that you're going to say yes to something on that. So I think in the beginning, when I had, 0 subscribers or 5,000 subscribers, my priority was YouTube. It was like, I'm going to make YouTube videos, 2 videos a week. I'm going to try and grow the following online. And like I didn't sell pots online for, I think I was making YouTube videos for over a year before I ever sold a pot online. It might have been even like 2 years. But I had other places to sell. So I took a really long time to kind of build that following up and build an audience and build trust, and before I ever even like tried to sell online, just because honestly, shipping pottery was not something that I love to do, and taking pictures of pots and stuff. Like now it's different, but so the priorities have changed since then. So like right away, it's like building that following online, making like videos that people want to engage with, and then the priorities slowly kind of shifted where I wasn't as interested in like, I still want to make YouTube videos and I still love that part of it, but it's not quite as important to me anymore as making pots, because making pots is what I really love to do and what I really love to like, what comes naturally to me. Like when I come into the studio, if I have the choice of like flipping the camera on or getting on the wheel and throwing pots, like I'm going to choose throwing every time.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so I still love making videos, but it's just like I've changed the priorities a little bit to production of stuff and making stuff, just because I couldn't continue that 2 videos a week for like ever. And so I think you just got to think about the priorities, think about what's important to you, and ironically, what I love to do also is what makes the most money. Like selling pots is going to make way more money than the AdSense from YouTube. So like, it kind of is like
YouTube give you pennies.
Yeah. And so it's that sweet spot of like finding what you love to do while also finding what makes money, while also finding what makes it sustainable, like that's going to last a long time. And so that for me, and you're always kind of changing up those priorities to mimic what you're finding.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, okay, so that's, oh my gosh, I so appreciate that, because that's something that like when in my business I'm really struggling a lot with right now, because I'm lucky enough to basically sell out every time I do an Etsy update, but, you know, I don't have a YouTube, and that's something that, you know, Donte and I have talked about, like, that would be, I think, really helpful for me, because, you know, I'm able to sell out my work, but my following is still relatively small, especially compared to you two.
Oh, you give it time.
Well, but that's the thing, is like, okay, so how do I, like, what do I do so that in that time I'm able to grow that audience, which I think will eventually, like you've talked about again in other interviews, John, like, that big audience has allowed you to have the flexibility to pursue the things you're interested in, and that's what I want to have more of as well.
Is it my turn for the questions?
Either that, or let's see, John, how are you doing on time, by the way? Because we're about 45 minutes. We could maybe ask a couple more questions and then go to our lightning round of fun questions.
Oh yeah,
not that
for
these
sure.
other questions aren't fun questions.
Sure.
Can I waste a lightning round question now?
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So do you watch the Great Pottery Throwdown?
Yes. So many people ask that.
Really? So I have watched the Great Pottery Throwdown. I don't have HBO Max, so I haven't watched it legally yet. The only time I watched it was like when it was on.
Don't watch it legally.
I haven't watched, but I want to. I think I will get HBO Max to watch it at some point. But I watched like one season when it was on YouTube, and yeah, it's great.
So
I love it. It's like,
it's not like I'm trying to get you to come to my Discord, but I do have a room of the Great Pottery Throwdown where somebody actively gets the episodes and posts them in the room, so that everybody can just have access to them. I think we're up to like season 5 now.
I hope you're not incriminating yourself right now, Donte.
No.
Like, are these all like YouTube videos?
I don't know.
I'm not even gonna ask.
I don't know where my plug gets it. I don't ask questions from where it comes from. I just know he's got it.
Okay.
That's all I know.
I know. I feel a little guilty watching it like that, because whenever someone on Pottery Heads posts like, "How does anyone watch the Great Pottery Throwdown?" right away, Tim C is always like, "You know, it's pirated material if you watch it without like having HBO Max."
Yeah.
Like he says it all the time, and it's like, so I feel a little bad, like, because I'm like, "Oh, Tim C would."
Dude, Tim's like the pottery dad of. Anytime I post something like that, he's like, "What you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, Tim." I'm sorry, pottery father. I didn't mean to disappoint you.
I think every world kind of needs a little bit of that pater familias.
Well, I wish to a certain extent they had the Pottery Throwdown America, but just with the way I think about America, it doesn't seem as polite as the Great Pottery Throwdown would be as it is now.
It is. I love how very
They're very
quintessentially
helpful.
British.
Yeah.
The Great Pottery Throwdown is.
They're so helpful, and they're like, "Oh, do you need help? I have a little extra time." If Americans did it, they'd be like,
I know. I know.
"You lost."
To be like chucking other people's pieces on the ground.
Chucking other people's stuff on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
They would throw it over, and they'd be like, "You threw my pot over." Like, fake news.
Oh god.
It's not real. It's on camera. It's fake.
Oh my gosh.
I can't watch it as either very much, because then I get this head full of ideas, because my brain goes, "I know how to do that, but I can't, because I'll make like 100 pots of that, and then, you know."
Yeah.
Right.
And then you give up all that other stuff you
Yeah.
want.
They show you all the stuff
how
that
that
like
goes.
you feel like doing, but you can't. It's idea porn, I guess.
Oh god.
I didn't want to say that word, but that's as far as it goes. Like, you want to do all the stuff they're doing, but they do it in like over and over and over again.
When I had
like,
subscribed to HBO Max and I was watching the Great Pottery Throwdown at night, I quickly learned that is not something that I should do, because it would inspire so many ideas that I would have trouble sleeping. But what I do with the Great Pottery Throwdown is I will like subscribe to various like watching channels for like a month, binge all just those that I want to watch, and then unsubscribe so that I can still maintain like a reasonable financial picture of subscriptions.
Yeah, nice.
But
She quits and then gets back on and then quits so that she doesn't have to like overwhelm. That's awesome.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think I can talk about this now. This was a secret for a long time, but it doesn't really matter anymore because it's dead. But I was in talks with this production company for like 6 months about making a American version of the Great Pottery Throwdown.
Oh, that would have been
that
would have been so
I
cool.
know, but so it's out there in the Hollywood land, but the particular production company that we were working with the project.
Oh
dead now,
no!
so
I mean,
unfortunately, I know, it would have been so cool. I don't know if I would have been like a contestant or a host, but they were like kind of talking to me about just ideas and stuff, but it's dead now, so that's why I can talk about it.
Dude, just to be a judge.
But it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Would have been excellent.
Yeah.
You would have been such a good host, John, just saying.
And you would have cried way less than the dude who does the Great Pottery Throwdown.
I know. I would never cry, but if I did, that would be
That guy cries all the time.
Yeah, he does.
I know, he
quite
does.
touching. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like
now I have a pipe dream in my head.
Yeah. I feel like as much as
I know.
as much as American like TV is sorry, good.
Well, I just said I was excited about it, and then it just kind of, the rug got pulled out from under. It's like, nope, not happening.
Oh, what a bummer. Well, I hope that the rug is put back, because that would be really cool. That would be really, really cool. And I feel like as much as, American television is sort of mocked for being aggressive and confrontational, I feel like with the right contestants and the right editing, there's a way to make it, enjoyable and lighthearted.
They walk through the door. Welcome, Potters.
Sure.
Hey, Steve? What? No guns. Takes his strap, puts it outside the metal detector.
Oh my god.
He's like, fine.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Well, do we want to go ahead and do maybe the rest of the lightning round questions?
Yeah, do we have any more? There's one that I really like here, but that's the end question.
Yeah.
I can't ask that first.
Yeah, we'll do a couple minutes of like lightning round, and then Donte will go ahead and ask the last sort of deep question that we have. So
yeah, the deep question is,
okay,
can
all
you?
right. Yes. Okay. So this is a question from one of our listeners. What do you listen to when you're throwing in the studio?
So I make my way through a lot of podcasts. Like I will listen to Joe Rogan and Freakonomics and Tim Ferriss, and I listen to like a ton of different stuff, from business to like entertainment to, I listen to quite a few different pottery ones. The Potter's Cast, I listened to you guys. I just listened to your one on the sponsorships today. That was very good. You guys talked about me in there, which was interesting.
We talked about him so much in that one.
We did. It was so funny. We were like teasing ourselves, or like teasing the audience without knowing, because we didn't know at that time we had the recording that we were going to be, we were going to have this opportunity to interview you. So that was pretty funny. Yeah.
So Wheel Talk, I would listen to them. Those kind of are the three pottery ones that I listen to. I recently put a TV in the studio, and that has been kind of fun.
That's the dream.
Yeah, I've like been making. I know. I've been making my way through all the Star Wars movies right now. Yeah. So either music, TV, or podcasts is basically what I do in the studio. Or I film. I should probably just like film myself more and make more videos instead of like spending all this time watching TV or whatever. But you do what you do.
Well. Yeah.
What I've done, and I don't know if it's an idea for you as well, but a lot of people like just want those chill background videos. You just make pottery, and you play music.
I've seen you,
and you could probably easily do that. Easily.
Yeah.
I don't I have to take monetization off though, just because I feel like it messes up the flow of like nice music, fresh fit.
Oh yeah.
Subscribe.
Yeah. All right, do you want to ask the next... Oh, jeez, I just tugged on my phone. Do you want to ask the next question, Donte?
I can't read. I just figured it... Oh, yes, okay, all right. So, John.
Yeah.
Do you like the Pokemon?
So, not really. I didn't play Pokemon or anything when I was a kid, but I did get into Pokemon Go a little bit when that was, like, really big for a few years. Like, you like, caught the Pokemons or whatever, and that was actually quite fun. Okay,
so... To that question, because I don't know if you're like a weeb head like me and Lindsey are. Like, we watch anime. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm definitely not.
Right. Okay. Got it. So, what was your Pokemon that you picked first when you were playing Pokemon Go? Because when you play it, you have a choice in between the three main types and then Pikachu. What did you pick?
I think I picked Squirtle.
Oh, you were a Squirtle too, right?
I'm a defense boy, so Squirtle's always my...
Yeah. I picked Charmander. When I was a kid, nice. One of my imaginary friends was a Charmander. So, yes, Charmander all the way.
Mine was a dad.
I'm kidding. That was fantastic.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have your dog in your studio with you, or Because I've thought about if I ever... What's up?
Well, I was just going to answer your question. You've thought about what?
Well, I've thought about if I ever have a kid or a dog, I would be worried to a certain extent about, like, clay dust.
Yeah.
But you probably have, like, a ventilation system and all that, you know?
There's a little, I have a little filtration system. I don't have the dog with me in the studio very often because the dog's usually inside with the wife and kids. But I keep my studio pretty clean, so I don't worry too much. Like, the floor, I try and mop it at least, like, once every other day. Because just whatever. My old studio was super dirty, and that was like a huge commitment that I had to make to myself. Because I was like losing sleep over like, oh, am I just killing myself in my studio because it's so dirty? And it was just so hard to clean. My other studio was, and so this studio is much easier to clean. And it's
yeah, I think it was in the basement of the coffee shop you bought, right? The first videos.
Yeah. Yep. Which is like a 140-year-old home, and so the basement like was not.
Dude, there's lead in there for
shape.
sure. There's Potter's lead and pipe lead in there for sure. I had this. What was this question? What do you start? No. Okay, so I need to ask you this question. What's something that you've always wanted to make but you don't have either the space or the resources? Like, let's say you wanted to make a person-sized pot. Is there anything like that you're like, it's in your mind?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is actually building like a wood fire kiln. Like I'm really interested. I've actually never done a wood fire, like a cone 10, cone, 13 wood fire. I haven't done one. I'm gonna do one very soon with another friend of mine. But I really think that would be sweet to like build a wood kiln. So that's my thing. Which hopefully I do have the space to maybe do it. So I just got to like figure it out if I actually want to spend the time.
It's also a commitment. Yeah. It's like once you build it, it's there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's the space where that goes. Nothing else can be used for that, you know.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, and every 3 months you got to make 500 pots to fill it and ask all your Potter friends to come help you. So.
Yeah.
Right. It's a community project for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So last lightning round question before Donte asks our last in-depth question. So, what is your favorite color? Not necessarily glazes, but just in general.
In general, my favorite color is blue. I love water, and I love the lake. I love being on the waters and blue.
I'm right there with you. Our listeners won't be able to see, but I'm wearing my favorite blue beanie, so I feel you there.
I'm a pink boy, but none of my clothes are, like, they don't sell them my size.
That's okay. You're pink on the inside, literally. Anyway, that's a weird thing to say.
That was funny. Weirdly non-sexually sexual.
All right, Donte, why don't you wrap this up with the last question?
So, Jon, what's a question that you have never been asked but always either wanted to be asked or wanted to answer on a podcast? This is your chance. Rant, do whatever.
You know?
Let them know.
What? Let them know. Like something I just want to say.
Well, something that you either want to say or perhaps a question that you've never been asked that you're like, man, I wish somebody would have asked me that question.
Mm-hmm. And then what would be the answer to that question?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like if I wasn't a Potter entrepreneur, coffee shop owner, what would I be? Is maybe the question.
That's interesting.
That is.
And I think what I would answer to that is I would be a ski bum and I would snowboard all the time.
What's a ski
I'd live
bum?
in the mountains in Colorado.
I love it. I love it.
What's a ski bum? Is that what I think it is?
Well, you just live in the mountains and you just snowboard or ski all the time, and that's what I would do. Like after I graduate, or that was always my plan after I graduated college, was I would just like move to Colorado and like just snowboard and like teach lessons and just like snowboard all the time. And then I ended up buying a business instead, and that kind of set off the trajectory of where I went. But that's probably what I would be doing. I would just live in the mountains, snowboard all the time.
It's like a skater kid, but like with snow.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say before we get going, Jon?
I don't think so. I would say I love your guys' podcast. I think you do a great job. I think you have a great back and forth. You guys are hilarious. And I think it's just fun to hear people, like real people, talk about their businesses and their struggle and their artwork, and so keep doing it.
Thank you.
Gosh, thank you so much.
Blessing of Jon.
Yes. It has been so much fun talking to you, Jon, not gonna lie, like, especially after, like, you know, reading and researching, because that's, you know, my college brain is still in there wanting to research stuff before I leap into it. So it has just been, it's been really, really fun getting to talk to you, and yeah, just have you on. So thank you so much. Oh my
As
gosh,
I said,
what
this
a
is my
wonderful
excuse to chill with you.
Yeah.
It's just like I can also get content out of it. 80% of this is like I get to chill with Jon.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I'm glad you like it. Oh, do you watch Star Trek? You can say no. It's okay.
Not the old Star Treks, but I've watched the new Star Treks like everybody.
Who's your favorite captain? This is a bonus question.
Oh my. I can't even. My favorite captain. I don't know, Captain Kirk. That's the only one I can think of right now.
Yeah,
Alright.
I was always Picard boy, but yeah, I feel it. Yeah, he's original.
Yeah. All right, Jon. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day, and happy throwing.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
if you ever
thank
want to
you.
come back, let us know. We're cool.